lecture. So, a very good morning to all my dear students. I welcome you all into the Industrial Pharmacy first. Dear student, we are studying the liquid orals. And while studying the liquid orals in yesterday's lecture, we saw the difference between the microemulsion, emulsion, nanoemulsion, then the types of emulsions, how the microemulsion that is to be produced, what are the different uses of the emulsions like say systemic use, oral use, then the parenteral uses with their individual examples, the local use of the emulsions which is to be applied onto the skin surface. Some of the examples of the emulsions as a drug delivery system like say diazepam, vegetable oils, propofol, fluorocarbons. Then we had gone through the advantages of the emulsions. After that, we saw the disadvantages of the emulsions. Then we had gone for the identification test. There are 5 different identification tests. And in order to confirm a particular type of emulsion, there is need to go for confirming at least 2 of the tests. Then we can assure that particular type of emulsion. Then we detailed gone through the different tests like say dilution test, conductivity test, dissolvability test, cobalt chloride test, and the fluorescence test. We had also gone through the summary details associated with this emulsion. Then we had started the formulation of the emulsion. During formulation, we saw there are 2 different phases, aqueous phase and the oily phase. Then we had gone through the stability problem associated with the emulsion, like say flocculation, creaming, phase inversion, cracking, coalescence. As far as the first is concerned, the first 2, flocculation, creaming, and the sedimentation, that already we had covered in detail in our yesterday's lecture. And today we will go through the phase inversion phenomena and onward. So this will be the top of our today's lecture, phase inversion onward. So basically, if we see what the phase inversion that is nothing but the converting a particular type of emulsion into another one. That means, let us say, for example, if we had produced the water in oil type of emulsion, but if this water in oil type of emulsion get converted into the oil in water type of emulsion, that is said to be the phase inversion phenomena or the inversion of the phase that is going to be occurring. That means what? The dispersed phase that will become continuous phase and the continuous phase that will become the dispersed phase, or vice versa, the continuous phase that will becomes the dispersed phase and dispersed phase that will become the continuous phase. So phase inversion is the process in which an emulsion that will changes from one type of emulsion to the another type. The substances which will alter the solubility of an emulsifying agent may also cause the phase inversion, because it is the emulsifying agent which is responsible for making miscibility of the 2 immiscible liquids, and the process is irreversible. Once the phase inversion that will occur, it cannot revert it back to the original type of emulsion. If water in oil that will get converted into oil in water, it cannot be converted back to the water in oil. That is said to be the irreversible phenomenon. Ostwald ripening. What the Ostwald ripening is? Ostwald ripening is the process whereby larger droplets grow at the expense of smaller molecules. Because of the transport of dispersed phase molecule from smaller to larger droplet through the intervening continuous phase. You can see the smaller droplet they will form the larger droplets and thus they will lead to the process which is said to be the Ostwald ripening. Chemical stability. The most important component of any kind of emulsion, that is the aqueous and the oily phase. So it is the oily phase which is responsible or which will undergo to the process of oxidation, because the fats and oils they will subject to that of the oxidation process. The addition of antioxidant and protection against external influences such as light or excessive heat, as well as suitable diffusion barriers on the surface between the different liquid phases, that will improve the chemical stability. So in order not to occur the process of oxidation, what is necessary? There is necessity to add the agent which will prevent the process of oxidation. So that means these are the antioxidant agents which need to be added into the emulsion. And we also need to protect it from the light and the excessive heat, because they will be having their effect onto the oils that will make them rancid. In addition to the emulsifying agent, aqueous phase, oily phase, the emulsions require some of the additives in order to formulate them. So these are the emulsifying agents, auxiliary emulsifiers, some of the antimicrobial preservatives, antioxidants, sweetening agents, and flavoring agent based on the need, based on the necessity, based on the requirement. So additives for formulation of the emulsion, what these are? An emulsifying agent, it is one of the additive. It is any material that will enhance the stability of an emulsion. That means it will carry out the process of mixing of water with that of the oil. So emulsifying agents, there are different types, like say hydrocolloids, surface active agents, surfactants or SAA, finely divided solids, and the auxiliary emulsifiers. Now, what will be the properties of an ideal emulsifying agent? When we want to use an emulsifying agent, it should possess certain properties that should reduce the interfacial tension. It should physically and chemically stable, inert and compatible. It should not react with that of the components. It should not react with that of the additives. It should not show its own action, and it should be stable. It should not undergo deterioration or degradation itself. Completely non-irritant and the non-toxic. It should be non-toxic. It should be non-irritant. It should be organoleptically inert. It should not have its own color, odor, taste. It should produce and maintain the required viscosity of the preparation, because viscosity, that is playing an important role in the process of stability of an emulsion. It should prevent the coalescence of the droplet of the dispersed phase. The coalescence that is not desirable during the process of emulsion, because coalescence that will lead to the process of breaking of an emulsion. So the emulsifying agent, we will be having the example of the natural emulsifiers or the natural polysaccharides, like say the acacia and tragacanth, that is used as the best emulsifying agent for extemporaneously prepared oral emulsions, as it forms a thick film at the oil-water interface to act as a barrier to coalescence. Other polysaccharides such as starch, pectin, and carrageenan, these are going to be used as a emulsifying agent. So what are the examples of the natural polysaccharide? The examples of the natural polysaccharides are acacia, tragacanth, starch, pectin, and carrageenan. Some of the semi-synthetic polysaccharides, like say the methyl cellulose, carboxymethyl cellulose, hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose, MC, CMC, and HPMC, respectively. What the semi-synthetics are, the semi-synthetic polysaccharide, these are the derivatives of the naturally obtained polysaccharide. That means these are the derivatives of acacia, tragacan, starch, pectin, and the carrageenan. So these are said to be the semi-synthetic polysaccharides. Synthetic hydrocolloids, what these are? These are artificially synthesized into the laboratory. Examples are the carbapol, polyvinyl alcohol, PVA, and the polyvinyl pyrrolidone, that is the PVP. Surfactants. The various types of surfactants like say anionic surfactants, cationic surfactants, and non-ionic. Among these anionic, that is the alkali metals and the ammonium soaps, which are the salts of the long fatty acid chain substances such as sodium stearate and the potassium oleate. So anionic surfactant like say sodium stearate and potassium oleate, these are used in order to produce the oil in water type of emulsions. The soaps of divalent and trivalent metals such as calcium oleate, it is used in order to produce the water in oil type of emulsion. Amine ammonium soap such as triethanolamine oleate, it is used in order to produce the OW type of emulsion. Alkyl sulfates such as sodium lauryl sulfate SLS, these are used again to produce the OW type of emulsions. So what will be the examples of the anionic surfactants? The alkali metals like say the sodium stearate, potassium stearate, calcium oleate, triethanolamine oleate, and the sodium lauryl sulfate. These are the anionic surfactants. What will be the disadvantage? The disadvantage associated with anionic surfactant is that these are most of the time incompatible. These are irritant internally, so widely used in external preparations, like say the oil in water emulsifying agent. They will be having pH sensitivity. Cationic surfactants, these are usually quaternary ammonium compounds which have a surface active cation. So there is a ammonium, quaternary ammonium cation. You can see there is R1, R2, R3 and the R4. So that is the quaternary 4 ammonium compounds. Examples are the cetrimide and the benzalkonium chloride. So the cationic surfactants, these are used in case of oil in water emulsions for external use and must be in their ionized form to be effective. And these are also used as a antimicrobial. So when we are using the cationic surfactant, there is no need to add the other antimicrobial agent because they themselves they will going to act as a antimicrobial. So these are the cetrimide and the benzalkonium chloride. The disadvantage of the cationic surfactants are they are sensitive to the anionic surfactants and the drugs. So they cannot be given combiningly. And emulsions, these are formed by cationic surfactant. These are generally stable at acidic pH. So there is a need to maintain pH at acidic side. So that is less than that of the 7. They are more toxic than the other surfactants. Cationic, these are more toxic than the anionic and the non-ionic. Non-ionic surfactant, the non-ionic surfactant, these are compatible with both anionic and the cationic substances and are highly resistant to the pH change. So they can be used effectively. Emulsions formed depend on the balance between the hydrophilic and the lipophilic groups, which is given by the HLB, hydrophile lipophilic balance number. Next, this what HLB is that we will going to study in the next few slides. Non-ionic surfactants, the examples are the esters, amides and the ethers. What will be the esters example? Glycol esters, glycerol esters, macrogol esters, sorbitan esters, which is said to be the spans, and polysorbates. Polysorbates, these are properly commonly called as twins. Alkanolamide is the example of the amides, and ether, the macrogol ethers and the poloxamers. These are the example falling under the ether type of non-ionic surfactants. So there is a major class surfactant in that anionic, non-ionic and the cationic. In case of non-ionic, there are esters, amides and the ethers. In the ether, macrogol ether is the example. The major category next, that is the finely divided solids. The finely divided solids, they will adsorb at the oil-water interface to form a coherent film that prevent the coalescence of the dispersed globules. So the globules, they will be surrounded by a film, so that will prevent their coalescence, that will prevent their union. The proper wetting is needed by the water when we are using the finely divided solids. So these are generally used in case of the oil in water type of emulsions. When we want to use them in case of water in oil type of emulsion, there is need to go for proper wetting with the help of use of the oils. So these are less prone to the microbial contamination. So that's why these are offering the good stability. The HLB, the hydrophile lipophile balance system, will also use as a emulsifying agent, and HLB number from 1 to 20, that will represent the relative proportions of the lipophilic and the hydrophilic parts of the molecule. HLB number of 8 to 18, these are hydrophilic molecules and these are used in order to produce the OW type of emulsion. Whereas the HLB number from 3 to 6 range, these are lipophilic molecules and these are used to produce the water in oil type of emulsions. The examples from these two, that is the hydrophilic molecule and the lipophilic molecule. The liquid paraffin has HLB value of 4. So that's why it will fall within the range of 8 to 18 and it is an example of the hydrophilic molecule. It is used in order to obtain the WO type of emulsion and 12 for an oil in water type of emulsion. So this is the HLB scale. You can see it will ranges from 0 to 20, 0 to 18. 18 is the maximum one, but it will range from 0 to 20. So the lower values, these will represent the hydrophobic nature and these are oil soluble, whereas higher values that will represent the hydrophilic nature, that means water loving, these are water soluble. Whereas intermediate range, that is the water dispensable. Now if we will move from say 1 to 3, generally the agents with the HLB value of 1 to 3, these are used as a anti-foaming agent. Most of the time it is within the range of 2 to 3. When the values of emulsifying, when the values of agents as far as HLB is concerned, that is in the range of 3 to 6, these are properly called as emulsifying agent. And these are of our interest, which is to be used in order to produce the water in oil type of emulsion. If the values are within the range of 7 to 9, so these agents, these will be used as a wetting and spreading agent. When the values are in the range of 8 to 16, these are the emulsifying agent. OW type of emulsion is produced with the help of these agents. If the values are in the range of 13 to 15, these are the detergents. For cleaning purpose, these are used. And if it is between 15 to 18, these are the solubilizing agent. So our interest is in these particular two types, that is within the value of 8 to 16, which are used to produce the OW type of emulsion, and the emulsifying agent with the values of HLB 3 to 6 in order to produce the WO type of emulsion. The next additives that are used in case of emulsion is auxiliary emulsifying agent. Now these auxiliary, these are the additional, these are supplementary. So sterols containing substances like say these agents, they will act as a water in oil emulsifying agent, and the examples that will include the beeswax, wool fat and the wool alcohol, sterols. The antimicrobial preservative sources, these are used the water that if not properly stored. What will be the sources of microbial contamination? The first most important, that is the water. If it is not stored properly, then that will be acting as a great source of contamination that will favor the growth and multiplication of the microorganisms. Next is the natural emulsifying agent like say the acacia, carrageenan, starch. As these are from the natural sources, these are more prone to the microbial attack. Poor closure on the container, because there might be entry of the microorganisms if it is not properly closed. So that will also acting as a source of contamination. Micro produce unpleasant odors, colors, changes, and the gases. So microbe, they had their effect onto the product as far as its odor is concerned, color is concerned, and by releasing the gases. So it is very necessary that the product that should remain free from that of the toxic effects like say odor, color, and the taste, and it should be bactericidal rather than bacteriostatic. The agent which we are using as an antimicrobial preservative, it should be bactericidal. It should kill the microorganisms rather than arresting the multiplication of the microorganism. So antimicrobial preservative sources, some preservative that are used, these are listed as you can see, the benzoic acid, the estrus of the para-hydroxybenzoic acid, chloroform as chloroform water, the chlorocresol, phenoxyethanol, benzyl alcohol, quaternary ammonium compounds, and the organic mercurials. All these agents are used as an antimicrobial preservative when we are going for preparation of the emulsions as a additives. Antioxidants, the additives that is added in order to prevent the process of oxidation. Auto-oxidation occur by free radicals, and it can be prevented by absence of oxygen by creating the inert environment. A free radical chain breaker, the process of free radical formation that can be halted, that can be stopped so that the chain that will be broken, and reducing the addition of the reducing agent. So they will capture the free radical and they will prevent the process of oxidation of the oxidizing agent. Sweetening agents, everybody like the sweet test. So low molecular weight carbohydrates, and in a particular example, if you see the sucrose that is added in emulsion as a sweetening agent. The sucrose polyhydric alcohols such as sorbitol, mannitol, and glycerin that can also be used as a sweetening agent. Flavors and the perfumes. The simple use of sweetening agent may be not sufficient to render the palatability of the emulsion. A product containing the drugs with particularly unpleasant taste that are less acceptable. So there is need to go for improving the taste by adding the sweetening agent and flavor along with the perfumes. Whenever the emulsion that is to be taken by internal route, internally, there is need to add the flavoring agent, and when the emulsion that are used for the external purpose, then there is need to add the perfumes. So you can see here some of the types of products with the different tests and the suitable flavoring agents that are used in order to mask the unpleasant taste. If the taste of the product that is salty, in order to mask this particular taste, there is need to add the apricot, butterscotch, peach, licorice, and the vanilla flavors. In order to mask the bitter taste, the anise, chocolate, mint, wild cherry. In order to mask the sweet taste, vanilla, fruits, and the berries flavors are added. To mask the sour taste, citrus fruit, licorice and the raspberry, these are generally added. What will be the methods of preparation of the emulsions? The emulsion that can be produced by the different method, trituration method and the bottle method. The trituration method that will consist of the dry gum method and wet gum method. The trituration method, that is the first one, dry gum method. What it contains? Generally the dry gum method, that is also called as 4:2:1 method. That means we need to take the four parts or the four volumes of the oil, two parts or the two volumes of the water, and one part or one volume of the gum that is used in the preparation of the primary emulsion. 4:2:1. So this is the scheme, this is the schematic representation, how we can go for preparation of this emulsion. We need to take emulsifying agent, oil, we need to triturate it, we need to add little bit water, again go for triturating in order to form the primary emulsion. Once the stable primary emulsion that is formed, there is a need to add water in order to make up the volume, then dilute if necessary, and you will be obtaining the emulsion. Method of preparation with the help of use of bottle method. So name itself, it will indicate that it will involve the use of bottle. Emulsions of the volatile oils and the oleaginous substances of very low viscosity, these are prepared with the help of the bottle method. Acacia or other gum is placed in a dry bottle and oil is added. The bottle is capped and thoroughly shaken. To this, the required volume of water is added all at once, and the mixture is shaken thoroughly until the primary emulsion is formed. So just take the oil emulsifying agent and go on shaking so that you will be getting the emulsion. Quality control test for the emulsion. There is a need to determine to ensure the quality of the product with the help of the various tests. So in that, the very first, that is the determination of the particle size and the particle count. So we will go for various techniques and the methods, use of the instrumental method, like say the optical microscopic instrumentation by using the Anderson apertures and the Coulter counter apertures. We can determine the particle size and particle count. Determination of the viscosity, the viscometers, like say the Ostwald viscometer, which should be used, include the cone and plate viscometers. Quality control test for the emulsions, the determination of the phase separation. Phase separation may be observed visually or by measuring the volume of the separated phases. Determination of the electrophoretic properties, the charges present onto the emulsion, positive charge, negative charge. The oil in water emulsion having a fine particle size will exhibit a low resistance, but if the particle size increase, then it indicates a sign of oil droplets aggregation and instabilities. Stabilities, the stress conditions are used, like say the centrifugal force, agitational force and the aging and temperature. So stability testing, these physical parameters, these are evaluated to assess the effect of any of the above stress condition, like say the centrifugal force, agitational force, aging and the temperature. So upon these different stress conditions, the emulsion that is to be evaluated, the emulsion is to be observed for phase inversion phenomena, viscosity, electrophoretic properties, particle size and the particle count. Gravitational stress. The emulsion, these are subjected to the process of centrifugation at 3750 rpm in a 10 centimeter radius centrifuge for a period of 5 hours, is equivalent to the effect of gravity for about 1 year. So instead of just placing the emulsion for 1 year, we should subject it to the process of centrifugation at 3750 rpm for 10 centimeter radius centrifuge and for a period of 5 hours. That's it. This is equivalent to that of the stability at 1 year. And it will be observed for the thermal stress aging temperature, phase inversion temperature. Phase inversion temperature that is more and rate of coalescence will be less. Packaging of the emulsions. The emulsion, these are to be packed into the wide mouth bottles. Emulsion for oral use are usually packed in a well-fitted bottles having an airtight closures. Light sensitive properties are packed in amber colored bottles. So if the nature of the emulsions like say the cream, greasy, then in that case these are packed into the open wide mouth bottle. Whereas the one which are to be taken by the oral route, then these has to be packed into the bottles, amber colored bottles. Labeling, the most important, that is the shake well before use. Emulsion should mention that these products have to be shaken thoroughly before use. And these are the, if these are for external use, the product that should be clearly mentioned that it is for the external use. As far as the storage conditions of the emulsion should be stored at a cool place. Refrigeration that should be avoided as this low temperature can adversely affect the stability of the preparation. So in summary, if you see what we saw the details like say the introduction of emulsion, different types of emulsions, advantages and disadvantages, the different emulsifying agents, stability aspects of the emulsions, formulation of the emulsion, methods of preparation and evaluation of the pharmaceutical emulsions. So dear students, today we will stop at this particular point only. Thank you very much.